Back to the Untethered Soul. Welcome. My name is Lana Labonte, and I am here to uplift, support, inspire, and hopefully that empowers you to be the best unique version of you were meant to be. So we're continuing with the series of The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. We are on part 2, Experiencing Energy. Chapter 5, Infinite Energy. Consciousness is one of the great mysteries in life. Inner energy is another. It's actually a shame how little attention the Western world pays to the laws of inner energy. We study the energy outside and give great value to energy resources, but we ignore the energy within. People go about their lives thinking, feeling, and acting without the understanding of what makes these activities take place. The truth is, every movement of your body, every emotion you have, and every thought that passes through your mind is an expenditure of energy. Just as everything that happens outside in the physical world requires energy, everything that happens inside requires an expenditure of energy. I've spoken about this in the past, but whenever we are really caught up in the mind steals vital biological energy from your body. So the overthinking exhausts us because we're expending unnecessary energy. But that energy should be focused in the healing of our bodies through the maintenance. And that when we're exhausted, it shows where we've wasted our energy, put the focus where it shouldn't go, the flow in the direction that goes against the tide versus with it, instead of being in alignment with our heart and soul. Because when you are in alignment with your heart and soul, you should feel your energy should be replenished. So we should be in an abundance of energy. And this is what this next chapter is all about. For example, if you concentrate on a thought and another thought interferes, you will have to assert an opposing force to fight the interfering thought. That requires energy, and it can wear you out. Likewise, if you have a thought that you're trying to hold in your mind, but it keeps drifting off, you have to willfully concentrate to bring it back. When you do this, you are actually sending more energy to the thought in order to hold it in a given place. Remember, this is conscious or unconscious. You assert energy to deal with your emotions. If you have an emotion that you don't like and it's interfering with what you're doing, you just push it aside. You do this almost instinctively so that the unwanted emotion doesn't come up and disturb you. Remember, we talked about this. What is it that is really truly disturbing you that you tend to avoid? Every one of these acts is an expenditure of energy. Creating thoughts, holding on to thoughts, recalling thoughts, generating emotions, controlling emotions, disciplining powerful inner drives all require a tremendous expenditure of energy. Where does all this energy come from? Why is the energy there sometimes and at other times you feel completely drained? Have you ever noticed that when you are mentally and emotionally drained, food doesn't help that much? Conversely, if you look at the times in your life when you were in love or excited and inspired by something, you were so filled with energy that you didn't even want to eat. This energy we are discussing does not come from the calories your body burns from food. There is a source of energy you can draw upon from inside. It is distinct from the outer energy source. The best way to examine this source of energy is to look at an example. Let's say you're in your 20s and your girlfriend or boyfriend breaks up with you. You get so totally depressed that you start staying home alone. Soon, because you don't have the energy to clean up, everything ends up sprawled all over the floor. You can hardly get out of bed, so you just sleep all the time. You must be eating because there are pizza boxes lying all around, but nothing seems to help. You just have no energy. Your friends invite you out, but you decline. You are simply too tired to do anything. Most people have been here at some point in their lives. I know I have. You feel that you have no way out, and it seems like you will stay there forever. Then suddenly one day the phone rings. It's your girlfriend. That's right, the one who dumped you 3 months ago. She's crying as she's saying, "Oh my God, do you remember me? I hope you still talk to me. I just feel so terrible. Leaving you was the worst mistake I ever made. I see now how important you are in my life during the time we were together. Would you please forgive me? Could you ever forgive me? Can I come over and see you?" Now, how are you doing? Seriously, how long does it take you to get enough energy to jump out of bed, clean up the apartment, take a shower, and get some color back in your face? It's practically instantaneous. You're filled with the energy the moment you hang up the phone. How does this happen? You were completely drained. For months and months, you had no energy. Then, out of nowhere, in a matter of seconds, there is so much energy, it blows you away. You can't just ignore these enormous shifts in your energy level. Where exactly did all that energy come from? There was no sudden change in your eating or sleeping habits. Yet when your girlfriend comes by, you end up talking all night and going out to see the sunrise in the morning. You're not even tired at all. You're together again and you're holding hands, and these rushes of joy just won't stop overwhelming you. People see you and they remark that you look like a bundle of light. Where did all this energy come from? What you'll see, if you watch carefully, is that you have a phenomenal amount of energy inside of you. It doesn't come from food, and it doesn't come from sleep. This energy is always available to you. At any moment, you can draw upon it. It just wells up and fills you from inside. When you're filled with this energy, you feel like you could take on the world. When it is flowing strongly, you can actually feel it coursing through you in waves. It gushes up spontaneously from deep inside and restores, replenishes, and recharges you. The only reason you don't feel this energy all the time is because you block it. You block it by closing your heart, by closing your mind and pulling yourself into a restrictive space inside. This closes you off from all the energy. When you close your heart or close your mind, you hide in the darkness within you. There is no light, there is no energy, there is nothing flowing. The energy is still there, but it can't get in, and it can't get out. That is what is meant to be blocked. That is why you have no other energy when you're depressed. There are centers within that channel your energy flow. When you close them, there is no energy. When you open them, there is. Although various energy centers exist within you, the one you intuitively know the most about opening and closing is your heart. Let's say that you love somebody and you feel very open in their presence. Because you trust them, your walls come down, allowing you to feel lots of high energy. But if they do something you don't like, the next time you see them, you don't feel so high. You don't feel as much love. Instead, you feel a tightness in your chest. This happens because you closed your heart. The heart is an energy center, and it can open or close. The yogis call energy centers chakras. When you close your heart center, energy can't flow in. When energy can't flow in, there's darkness. Depending on how closed you are, you either feel tremendous disturbance or overwhelming lethargy. Often people fluctuate between these two states. If you then find out that your loved one didn't do anything wrong, or if they apologize to your satisfaction, your heart opens again. With this opening, you get filled with energy, and the love starts flowing again. How many times have you experienced these dynamics in your life? You have a wellspring of beautiful energy inside of you. When you are open, you feel it. When you are closed, you don't. This flow of energy comes from the depth of your being. It's been called by many names. In ancient Chinese medicine, it is called qi. In yoga, it is called shakti. In the West, it is called spirit. Call it anything you want. All the great spiritual traditions talk about your spiritual energy. They just give it different names. That spiritual energy is what you're experiencing when love rushes up into your heart. That is what you're experiencing when you're enthused by something and all this energy, this high energy, comes up inside of you. You should know about this energy because it's yours. It's your birthright and it's unlimited. You can call upon it at any time you want. It has nothing to do with age. Some 80-year-old people have the energy and enthusiasm of a child. They can work for long hours for 7 days a week. It's just energy. Energy doesn't get old. It doesn't get tired, and it doesn't need food. Energy doesn't need anything, but it does need openness and receptivity. This energy is equally available to everybody. The sun does not shine differently on different people. If you're good, it shines on you. If you did something bad, it shines on you. It's the same inner energy. And it's the same with that energy. The only difference is that with the inner energy, you have the ability to close up inside and block it. When you close, the energy stops flowing. When you open, all the energy rushes up inside of you. True spiritual teachings are about this energy and how to open it. Prana. You have to keep the flow going. When we don't breathe, the first thing we do is cut off our life support. And that is part of this energy that we're speaking about. Prana is breath, is life force. It's the maintainer, the sustainer. It is the source of spirit. That is the breath of life, the breath of God. Every time you take a breath in, you are breathing in the birthing, the rebirthing of your being. And when we get triggered, what is the first thing we do? We hold our breath. We constrict it. We restrict it. We stop the flow of that energy. We stop the flow of the breath. If anything, that's the one thing we need to be tuned in and tapped into. And if you've listened to a lot of my videos, I always say, to master your breath is to master your mind. Because when you become present with the breath, you become present in the now, you become aware of the conscious and the unconscious thoughts that are part of your unconscious programming, your belief systems, your BS. And when you can master the breath, you can master the mind, which essentially masters your life, and you can master your domain. But it all starts with becoming present in the moment, and that we use the breath to bring us to that gift of life. Slowing down. When your breath feels constricted or restricted, you can thump your thymus. This is something I do. Sometimes I've had trouble with my breath. So when I feel like I can't get a full breath, a couple things that I do is I really try to soften and relax my diaphragm, my belly. I tap and thump my thymus right here in the middle of between the clavicle and right above the heart, right here. You know, Tarzan. That's how you can change your mood too. Think happy thoughts, bring in positivity. Whatever it is you want to focus on, that's what you do when you do this. And there's another way you can get a nice deep breath. If you feel that your pathway is constricted, what you can do, tilt your chin up to create an access point that's straight and not angled. Because when we take in the breath, it goes back at an angle, like an L down. So you can tilt your head up, open your mouth wide, and breathe in and out through the mouth. This is just one other technique you can utilize to become more open and access more prana, more breath, more life force. Because without it, you wouldn't be alive. The one thing that we do unconsciously that our body takes care of is our breath. But we often will restrict and constrict it because we get triggered, we become reactive, life circumstances bring things to our attention that we're not always conscious of why we seize and tense up, because that's again about the healing, about being aware of our shadows and those areas in our life that we've been suppressing that end up expressing. All right? Just some small little tidbits. The only thing you have to know is that opening allows energy in and closing blocks it out. Now you have to decide whether or not you want this energy. How high do you want to get? How much love do you want to feel? How much enthusiasm do you want to have for the things you do? If enjoying a full life means experiencing high energy, love, and enthusiasm all the time, then don't ever close. There is a very simple method for staying open. You stay open by never closing. It's really that simple. All you have to do is decide whether you are willing to stay open or whether you think it's worth closing. You can actually train yourself to forget how to close. Closing is a habit. And just like any other habit, it can be broken. For example, you could be the type of person who has an underlying fear of people and tends to close when you first meet them. You could actually be in the habit of experiencing an uptight closing sensation whenever somebody walks up to you. You can train yourself to do the opposite. You can just decide. It's just a question of whether you want to close or whether you want to open. It's ultimately under your control. The problem is we don't exercise that control. Under normal circumstances, our state of openness is left to psychological factors. Basically, we are programmed to open or closed based upon our past experiences. Impressions from the past are still inside of us, and they get stimulated by different events. If they were negative impressions, we tend to close, also known as triggers. If they were positive impressions, we tend to open. Let's say you smell a certain scent that reminds you of what it was like when you were young and somebody was cooking dinner. How you react to the scent depends upon the impressions left by your past experiences. Did you enjoy having dinner with the family? Was the food good? If so, then the smell of that scent warms you and opens you. If it wasn't so much fun eating together, or if you had to eat food you didn't like, then you tighten up and close. It really is that sensitive. A smell can make you open or close, and so can seeing a car of a certain color, or even the type of shoes a person is wearing. We are programmed based upon our past impressions, such that all kinds of things can cause us to open or close. If you pay attention, you will see it happen regularly throughout the day. But you should never leave something as important as your energy flow to chance. If you like energy, and you do, then don't ever close. The more you learn to stay open, the more the energy can flow into you. You practice opening by not closing. Anytime you start to close, ask yourself whether you really want to cut off the energy flow. Because if you want, you can learn to stay open no matter what happens in this world. You just make a commitment to explore your capacity for receiving unlimited energy. You simply decide not to close. At first, it feels unnatural, since your innate tendency is to close as a means of protection. But closing your heart does not really protect you from anything. It just cuts off from your source energy. In the end, it only serves to lock you up inside. So by closing your heart, you're not really protecting yourself. You're just cutting yourself off from your own flow of source energy. And so in that end, it serves to lock you up inside. And you become the prisoner of the cage. So our ribs are a cage. And our heart is inside the ribs, imprisoned. And you can think of it that way. That when you constrict and you tighten and you close off, you make that prison, that cage, even darker. What you'll find is the only thing you really want from life is to feel enthusiasm, joy, and love. If you can feel that all the time, then who cares what happens outside? If you can always feel up, if you can always feel excited about the experience of the moment, then it does not make any difference what the experience is. No matter what it is, it's beautiful when you feel that way inside. So you learn to stay open no matter what happens. If you do, you get for free what everybody else is struggling for: love, enthusiasm, excitement, and energy. You simply realize that defining what you need in order to stay open actually ends up limiting you. If you make lists of how the world must be for you to remain open, to be open, you have limited your openness to those conditions. Better to be open no matter what. How you learn to stay open is up to you. The ultimate trick is not to close. If you don't close, you will have learned to stay open. Do not let anything that happens in life be important enough that you're unwilling to close your heart over it. When your heart starts to close, just say, "No, I'm not going to close. I'm going to relax. I'm going to let this situation take place and be there with it. Honor and respect the situation and deal with it. By all means, deal with it. Do the best you can, but deal with it with openness and open heart. Deal with it with excitement and enthusiasm, no matter what it is. Just let it be the sport of the day. In time, you will find that you forget how to close. No matter what anyone does, no matter what situation takes place, you won't even feel the tendency to close. You will just embrace life with all your heart and soul. Once you've attained this very high state, your energy level will be phenomenal. You will have all the energy you need at all times. Just relax and open. And tremendous energy will rush up inside of you. You are only limited by your ability to stay open, allowing rather than reacting. And the openness takes just as much effort as the closing. And you recognize that over time you create new habits, new behaviors, new routines. And you'll always wonder, how was I able to ever close when you get to a certain point? But with dedication, with this determination, you have to be committed to you and staying open. And that's the gift you give to you. If you really want to stay open, pay attention to when you feel love and enthusiasm. Then ask yourself why you can't feel this way all the time. Why does it have to go away? The answer is obvious. It only goes away if you choose to close. By closing, you actually make the choice not to feel openness and love. You throw it away all the time. You throw love away all the time. I know we've all been there. I know I have. Because there were times in my life where I was convinced that unless it came with suffering and struggle and sacrifice, I didn't understand sacrifice really meant to mean to make sacred. Sacrifice is not lying upon the sword and compromising or giving something up. In reality, you are giving something up. You're giving up the suffering. True, authentic love is to make sacred. And it's also in awareness. It's not naive. It's an awareness. And so many of us claim love where it's infatuation, where it's not true love. It's obsession. It's beyond the real scope. It is something else. and it's conditional. You feel love until somebody says something you don't like, and then you give up on that love. You feel enthused about your job until someone criticizes something, and then you want to quit. It's your choice. You can either close because you don't like what happened, or you can keep feeling love and enthusiasm by not closing. As long as you are defining what you like and what you don't like, you will open and close, just like a switch. Flip, just like a resistor. You know, turn it on, turn it off. Wax on, wax off. You are actually defining your limits, is what you're doing. You are allowing your mind to create triggers that open and close. Let go of that. Dare to be different. Enjoy all of life. It's like switches. You're choosing to turn them on or turn them off. Your heart doesn't like that, because that's not the way energy is meant to flow. It's supposed to move without restriction or constriction. That's a lot of stress, and we create it. The more you stay open, the more energy can flow. At some point, so much energy comes into you that it starts flowing out of you. You feel it as waves pouring off of you. You can actually feel it flowing off your hands, out your heart, and through other energy centers. All of these energy centers open, and a tremendous amount of energy starts flowing out of you. What is more, that energy affects other people. People can pick up on your energy, and you're feeding them with this flow. If you are willing to open even more, it never stops. You become a source of light for all those around you. To add to that, we're always feeding people our energy, but we're not as conscious about it. People can pick up on your negative thoughts, your positive thoughts, your intentions, your restrictions. This is about consciously being in awareness of your energy and how it affects others. Because when you get in that true flow state, everything becomes second nature. You're not holding on to anything. You're not push-pulling. You're not going through this dance of, I'm not sure. There's a true divine trust in self. Just keep opening and not closing. Wait until you see what happens to you. You can even affect the health of your body with your energy flow. When you start to feel the tendency of an illness coming on, you just relax and open. When you open, you bring more energy into the system, and it can heal. Remember what I told you about the overwhelm of the mind? Instead of allowing the mind to go take you out of this situation and hijack you, overthinking, overwhelm, you just allow the thoughts to pass and allow the energy to return to the source within, the inner wellspring that is meant for your body to maintain it, sustain it. Vital biological energy, life force. When you open, you bring more energy into the system, and it can heal. Energy can heal, and that's why love can heal. As you explore your inner energy, a whole world of discovery opens up to you. The most important thing in life is your energy, your inner energy. If you're always tired or never enthused, then life is no fun. But if you're always inspired and filled with energy, then every minute of every day is an exciting experience. Learn to work with these things through meditation, through awareness, and willful efforts. You can learn to keep your centers open. You do this by just relaxing and releasing. You do this by not buying into the concept that there is anything worth closing over. Remember, if you love life, nothing is worth closing over ever. Nothing ever is worth closing your heart over. And one of the notes I put on the bottom to add to this, choose peace, ease, and grace, allowing what is rather than preset BS, belief systems and conditionings that must be met to keep you content in your bubble of comfort. Because essentially that's what most of us are doing when we're acting from those spaces of unmet childhood needs. is we are depleting our youth. We're depleting our infinite source of abundant energy. We are our own fountain of youth. The inner wellspring of energy comes from within. And often you hear people talk about the Kundalini rising. That's also essentially part of that energy. That is the source of that energy. Now, most people can't handle that much energy. And I have my own theory around belief where our soul can only inhabit a certain amount of space in this body. Our souls are infinite. These bodies are finite. So the more we heal and we release the excess trauma that we've been carrying, the more of this body we open to receive our higher self and our soul self. So when people talk about going into higher dimensions or awakening or transcending or becoming enlightened, my interpretation is that when you've cleared out a lot of your shadow and your junk from your past and you're no longer holding stagnant energy in your body, that's allowing more of your soul self to inhabit the body. And that's when you feel awakened to gifts you haven't been aware of for a very long time. Because when we come into this incarnation, we are born into these human skin suits. We are pure source energy. We are about as connected to source as we could ever be. And then comes the programming. And as we are taught and programmed to believe that we are born of original sin, which is the furthest from the truth. That is the biggest lie ever perpetrated upon souls inhabiting human bodies. This life, it is a game. And it's up to us to play it better. When you know the rules, you can adapt and become more flexible, fluid, and limber, adjustable, adaptable. Not compromising, but allowing and receiving and being better. Even in a world where you may feel bitter, you can always do better. Don't let them steal your peace. Choose your peace over any battle. People talk about all the time about, oh, choose your battles. I choose my peace. Because I've been fighting far too long in my life that it has literally depleted much of my life force energy to where I am reclaiming and recapturing it. And the more that I heal myself, I inspire others. Because I am a living, walking example of a crazy life that is capable of being healed. And through various points in my life, I have peeled away the layers. I have healed areas that I maybe never knew existed, even just recently. I'm always learning. I'm always growing because I'm willing to go deep. And I don't mind facing my shadow, facing my junk. Sometimes it's not pretty. But I feel liberated and freer when I'm done. Besides, I like a lot of energy, so I am high energy as it is. I know that if I myself am stressed out, if my mind is overactive, I move my body. Because movement is medicine. And it starts with the breath. If you're not breathing properly, you need to do some breathing. And a lot of times, movement is how you get that breath recalibrated. And every day you should exercise, because when you exercise your body, you exercise your mind. When you move your body, you create your own chemical cocktail of happy hormones, all the dopamine you need, all the serotonin, all the beautiful things that make you feel, And also, it's brain juice, people. Because when you get the spine moving, you're moving the fluid up the spine, and that's got to reach the brain. The cerebral fluid needs to move. This is how we combat any type of memory issues, dementia, Alzheimer's, cognitive issues, as well as our heart. Like, to move the body also needs to pump the heart, which is your battery. The energy source, the fuel, is your breath. And so we need to get the mind, body, and the spirit, which is the breath, in sync. That's the Holy Trinity. And that's the biggest secret, is that you got everything you need inside of you. You don't need to outsource. You don't need anybody to tell you. It's up to you to tap into your inner guidance system. You can do it through your 5 senses to heighten your intuition, because with heightened senses, you have heightened intuition. The into me I see. This is the true intimacy, is with yourself. And so when you recognize that you're always, if you're in a place where you're seeking validation or you're seeking things outside of yourself, notice how that depletes your energy. Notice how it takes you out of the moment. And then bring it back to the breath. And journal. Write down whatever comes up. Because when you become present, that mind reveals itself. Just by breathing, just by observing and witnessing your own mind, you get an opportunity. Served up on a platter, might be a noisy one. The mind is clever, but whatever comes up is the internal unconscious programming. Because whatever reveals itself is your work to work on. Like I say, a trigger is your work to do. And if you're triggered by your own mind, there's a lot of work to do. Usually the first thing is the mind doesn't want to sit still. It doesn't want to go silent because it fears obliteration. It fears abandonment and rejection. So you have to give it tasks and tools. To master your mind means to master it, to make it work for you, not the other way around. And most of us are running around letting our mind run the show. And that's what gets us in trouble. So I hope this inspires some inner energy. Reclaim it, recapture it. You're worth it. And it's your birthright. So much love from my living room to yours. Have an amazingly blessed morning, day, night, wherever you are. I love you.